1. Pannalego was an iron ore mining community in the Pilbara, a remote part of the remotest part of Western Australia. It was quite a trek from Sydney. On a map, I couldn't have picked anywhere further and still been on mainland Australia. 3,500 kilometres as the crow flies. If I could have driven it, it'd be 5,000 kilometres. It was a good start. A 7.5-hour flight from Sydney to Port Hedland. Then a white-knuckle hour in a two-seated Cessna that was possibly older than me, alongside my luggage and 4 crates of something. The pilot thought it was hilarious. He was in his 60s at least, with wiry white hair and a too-wide smile. He reminded me of a mad sailor, and it didn't help that he flew the plane like he had sea legs. The landing strip was no more than a cricket pitch, a strip in an endless field of red dirt. The plane bounced and shuddered, rattled, and I held on to the handle. Not for my own peace of mind, but so the side of the plane didn't fall off. I was never gladder to have my feet on solid ground. Until the heat hit me. Stifling was an understatement. I had to wonder if asphyxiation by fire was possible without fire. The air was so hot it hurt my lungs. I knew it would be hot. I had prepared for it. Nothing could have prepared me for that. The pilot simply unloaded the cargo by the side of the landing strip and nodded to an approaching cloud of red dust. "This is you," he said before climbing back into his plane. He saluted me. "Good luck. You're gonna need it." What the? He was just leaving me? In the middle of nowhere? I didn't have time to protest because he started the propeller and I had to get out of his way. He taxied up the landing strip just as a land cruiser barreled toward me. Up the same landing strip. The cruiser skidded to a stop right by me, clouding me in plumes of red dust. A woman jumped out. Work shorts, bright orange high-vis shirt, work boots, and a huge smile. She was possibly 50, but considering she must have spent every one of those years in the sun, I wasn't sure. She had brownish-grey, fluffy hair, tanned skin, and a kind face. "Mr. Galloway?" she said, extending her hand. "Name's Junie." "Hello, Junie," I said, shaking her hand. "Please, call me Fergus." Her grip was wide and strong, calloused and dusty. Then, of course, the plane came streaming toward us from the opposite end Junie had come from. At least he had the decency to stick to the far side of the runway, I guess. He saluted us, grinning as the plane took off. Junie waved after him. "You crazy bastard!" Without so much as an explanation, like this was all completely normal, she picked up the first crate as if it weighed nothing and slung it into the back of the cruiser. I carefully put my laptop bag on the passenger seat, then struggled to get my suitcase into the back as she hauled the crates in without any effort. I struggled to get myself into the four-wheel drive, and Junie grinned at me. I pretended I was fine, that I wasn't melting, that I wasn't a city boy way out of his depth in the far Western Australian outback. "Warm for you, huh?" she said, slipping the gear stick into first and launching us down the runway much like the way she'd arrived. I had to wonder if this cruiser only had full speed and stop. It certainly had no air conditioning. Even the air coming through the windows was hot. The road to the landing strip was no more than a track, bumps and corrugated dirt. Holding my laptop bag, I bounced in my seat, and Junie hung onto the steering wheel. "There's a spring in that seat you're about to come real acquainted with," she said with a laugh. Oh my God, she wasn't wrong. By the time we drove onto a better-maintained road, I felt somewhat violated. And there was a high probability I was beginning to cook. "Just out of curiosity," I said, having to speak over the loud engine, "how hot is it today?" "Top today at 45, she said. No wonder I was hot. "Keep water with you and stay out of the sun and you'll be right," she said, still smiling. She gave a nod to my hair. "Don't think I need to tell you that." Yes, my hair. I would never escape people pointing it out as if I didn't know. It was a rusty red.